All right, let's go.
All right. Well, another Sunday and another Lions win. And while the national media may not want to end up picking up on what the Detroit Lions are doing, we'll do it for them. Folks, this team is the most dominant team since the '07 Patriots. Like they're well coached defensively, and no matter who is out there on offense, who's having a good day and who's having a bad day, they're beating the piss out of a lot of teams right now. And normally I would kind of I'd shy away from a lot of these teams there in the past. You look at a team like Baltimore last year, where they were kind of just rolling through teams, and you heard a guy on this channel. We haven't seen him in a little bit, but there was a guy that's been on this channel before that was like, "Dude, we have the MVP at quarterback. We got a triple crown defense, best kicker of all time. This Blake Collin. I mean, they won the MVP as soon as the Ravens had beat the Niners, and then they had a clunker. They faced a little bit of adversity there in the playoffs, and all of a sudden, kind of got out of their game plan. And everybody except for the quarterback had a really bad game, according to some people on this channel. The Lions do kind of make me a little nervous that could happen, just because they really haven't had a lot of adversity. But if that's really my biggest complaint about you, you're a pretty good ass team. Is there anybody that's stopping this Detroit team from winning the NFC?
From winning the NFC, since the Lions and Eagles don't play, don't believe they, doesn't look like things will shake out to where they'll play before a potential NFC championship. I think that the Lions have a very clear path, and what you would say is control their own destiny. I mean, they're the 1 seed. They have a full game lead over Philadelphia. I'm not exactly sure who Philadelphia has left on their schedule, but I mean, you look at Detroit, and let's see who they've got.
Philly's got a whole lot of W's down the stretch.
Yeah, the Lions play the Bears twice. The Packers at home. They play the 49ers, who that is the second to last week of the year, but that's not looking like the marquee matchup that we would have thought it would be 3 months ago. They've got the Vikings to end the year, and the Lions, in between that mess, have the Buffalo Bills. So that game, I just want to get you guys ready for. We have 3 weeks until that game, and that will be billed. Maybe not as highly as the Chiefs Bills that we just had last week, but just because it's not a rivalry yet, Lions Bills. But that will be a very big game for both teams, especially if the seeding implications on both sides. I mean, wow, what a monumental game for Week 15.
Well, in Detroit too, because you look at Philly with Washington kind of slipping, and we're going to get into them here in a little bit. But with Washington slipping a little bit, Philly's starting to kind of build a little bit of a lead here, whereas Detroit, there's only one game separating them and Minnesota right now. I believe Week 18, it's Detroit and Minnesota playing.
Yeah.
So that could be for the division.
Yeah, and it could be, yeah.
Dare I say possibly for the 1 seed, depending on how things end up shaping out. But I think while the Lions have a lot of things going for them, the adversity aspect does make me a little nervous. But hey, they're beating teams like crazy right now, and I think that they can kind of ride. Every few years we end up getting one of these teams where they're normally mediocre. The media doesn't show them any sort of attention, doesn't give them any sort of love. You kind of use that to feed them. They talked about after the Green Bay game, the talk, and we talked about it here on the show, that hey, Jared Goff, when he plays outdoors, take this track team outdoors, calling them the greatest show on turf. Well, they went outside to Green Bay, and it was a really ugly game, weather-wise.
It's
And they,
disgusting.
again, beat the piss out of Green Bay. Like, it's, you can only move the goalpost so far. So my goalpost, I guess, that's remaining is, hey, face some adversity. I don't even know what kind of goalpost that is. So Detroit, I think, has a really good shot. Now, coming, and there's a shot that they can beat Kansas City by 2 touchdowns with how the two teams are playing right now. So that's how highly I think of Detroit. But all right, last year Houston was the belle of the ball. You had C.J. Stroud, the first Ohio State quarterback to just explode in a big way. Kind of do what a lot of people thought that Justin Fields could do. Stroud was just putting up incredible numbers last year. 25 touchdowns, 5 picks. Like, he just insane. This year's a little different. Now they've had a lot of injuries there throughout the team. Mixon had ended up missing a few weeks. Nico Collins went on the IR. Now you got Stephon Diggs that's out for the year. Offensively, it's kind of been hit or miss on who you're going to end up getting every Sunday. But despite that, C.J. Stroud, who accuracy was not really a concern last year, has kind of been a concern this year. Now you're getting Texan fans that are tweeting out C.J. fraud. Are you at all concerned with how the Texans are playing right now after losing to Tennessee? Who, by the way, Will Levis is the quarterback over there.
Yeah. Even when Houston did beat us, they lost Nico Collins and they totally collapsed in the second half. And it was, I mean, neither team looked like they deserved to win. And it just so happened that Houston made one more play or one less mistake than we did that game, and Houston beat us. But, when I talked to my friend that's a Texans fan, he was like, neither team played good enough to win, and we lost one of our star wide receivers. So, Buffalo with a loss left in better shape than Houston did with a win. And Houston hasn't really done anything to change my mind about them since then. I mean, they kind of got to say they play in a very easy division. Now, they did just lose a divisional game, so, at least it, I guess it still has some competitiveness to it. But, if there's 3 teams that you'd want to play twice a year, the Jags, Colts, and Titans, are probably going to be higher on that list than many other teams you can pick from, especially the AFC. So,
not everybody can be Joe Burrow. Not everybody can be Joe Burrow, where you don't have a run game, and you can still put up these numbers. Like, a lot of people were, killing the Bengals for not keeping Joe Mixon. And, in the offseason, like, you can go back. I was okay with us getting rid of Mixon. And while to start the year, and I guess when he came back from his injury, because he did get hurt pretty early on, but, I mean, he was doing pretty well. Well, over the past few weeks, he's struggling to get to 30 to 40 yards. Like, it is a struggle. And now you're kind of looking at it and you're going, well, I mean, if you don't have a run game and you're kind of missing some of your top weapons, and this is a second-year guy, that's kind of what you get. You have an offensive coordinator calling the plays rather than a head coach. I'm a massive fan of the coaches that are calling the plays there on offense for head coaches anyway. But listen, Bobby Slowick ended up having a really good year last year, and he looks dumb right now. I think the run game getting slowed down has got to be at least top of mind for him right now, because you're asking this kid now to end up carrying this team, and that's not what you asked him to do there last year. Like, Nico Collins was not drafted last year, guys. Like, he's been over there for a few years. I mean, I guess Noah Brown ended up going there in the shadows there for Washington, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that Joe Mixon is also slowed down. Man, it's got to be tough, though, because all of a sudden I really haven't heard that many people talk about the fact that it was such a bad move that we let Mixon go. It's weird how those people just quiet down really quick. Quiet out real quick.
There is a Bengals fan that I follow on Twitter that is still very adamant that you guys should have kept Joe Mixon.
Man. Well, go ahead and look at what Chase Brown's doing. Running backs are really, really good. They can. You see what Lamar Jackson has done for Baltimore. They can be really explosive for teams.
Is that game starting?
How to get that jab in there? Huh?
Is that game just starting right now?
Chargers are up 7-0.
How'd they score?
Herbert ended up running it in for about 10 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, Lamar Herbert.
Greg Roman offense, huh?
That's a bad offense. Gosh, shame on him. He's the reason why they haven't won.
This is a hot take.
Oh, dude.
But
yeah,
I do like the San Diego colors every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't mind them together. I really wish that they were not in Los Angeles.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you killed your entire fan base doing that. And you didn't already have a lot as it was, but they basically did what the A's did. I guess they had a home. The A's are homeless, but that's still bizarre to me. I have to end up getting Cujo's take on how that ended up working.
He's on his honeymoon right now in Punta Cana.
Hey, from Punta Cana, go ahead and lift one up for me.
I don't know. This is our text stream from the night before they got on their plane, him and his wife. Okay. So, because I tried to get him to come on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I am summoning you for some Shohei Ohtani discourse tonight on the podcast if you're available. He said, and this was at 8:27 a.m. He said his wife, Tabitha, he said, Tab and I get on a plane in less than 24 hours and have not yet packed. I said, where to? He said, Punta Cana. I said, you're not going to see Juan Soto, little bro. He said, don't take that away from me. There's a chance. I said, you see him there, but he has a Tiger's head on. What's your next move? He said, if Juan Soto signs with the Detroit Tigers in 2024, I will eat human shit. So.
Detroit, are you listening? Are you listening, Detroit? We talked about the Lions earlier. You guys have still got to be sticking around, right? Come on.
So.
Dude, I pride myself on being able to see around corners. People often call me their sports messiah, and I didn't really know what that. I didn't really know what that meant, at first. But it's come to my attention that because of how great I am at being able to predict the future here with sports. It's revolutionized people's sports betting. And so, I come on here occasionally going, hey, I don't want to spoil the entire season, but here's something that's going to happen. And one thing I'd said was, hey, Commanders are going to win the division. Now, hitting a bit of a roadblock. Okay, so Jaden ends up getting hurt a few weeks ago. And, it's the rib injury. I've told people, I think that the rib injury for a quarterback is arguably just as painful as the shoulder is because of the amount of torque that you have to end up having there in your core. I can't see how that's not spreading out throughout your entire stomach in comparison to your shoulder. You're using it every time you're throwing, and he runs. So every tackle that he ends up taking when he runs, he's getting that too. So I think the rib injury is a really big deal. I also think it's a really big deal. The Commanders on paper, they're ass. There were things to like about the Commanders. So I like the fact that they had a lot of newness. They got rid of the owner that had poop coming down there from the gutters during the middle of a game. They got a brand new GM, a head coach that had made a Super Bowl in this league, a coordinator that got Kyler Murray to the playoffs, which before this season everybody had thought that was impossible to end up duplicating. They got some veterans there throughout the team, and I like Jaden, and I love Terry. It's just hit a bit of a stall. I still think that they make the playoffs, and I still think that they can beat a team like Minnesota, a team like Green Bay, Tampa, Atlanta if they get in. I still think that Washington, I would put them third in the NFC. I would say it would go Detroit, Philly, and then Washington, but I think Washington would have a real shot to beat Philly as well. I'm not panicking. It's all part of the process.
Yeah, I think that the Commanders they have a good chance to make the playoffs, but because every time you think that Kyler and the Cardinals are going to go on a run, they put up 6 on in a divisional game.
Yeah,
kind of let you down. Tampa, you had Mike Evans come back and they beat the Giants, but a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I mean, can you really bet on either of those teams? The Rams are 5-6; they're the 10 seed. I mean, that's as far down as I'd go. I think the Commanders still have a easier, clearer path to the playoffs than either of those 3 teams do. But I'm not sure.
Don't forget about Chicago or Dallas. No, I'm joking.
Hey,
do you think they're winning a playoff game? Where do you rank them at right now in the conference? To put you on the spot anyway.
well, I mean, right now, the only teams that I see Washington beating on the road are Atlanta, and if either Atlanta or Tampa wins the NFC South, I think the Washington could beat either of those teams on the road. They're not going into Philly and beating Philly. Just how the Phillies fans are when it comes to October, and I don't think the Eagles fans, are gonna let a division rival come in and beat them. I don't know if they could go into Seattle and do it. Seattle's kind of inconsistent, but they do have home field advantage there, and probably could be wet and
going cross country.
Yeah, that would probably be one of the earlier games too. That if something I heard today is if the Texans Texans win the division, they host a playoff game. That'll be the first game on Saturday. That'll be the 1:00 game. And then whoever wins the NFC South, that'll be the 4:00 game. There's no storylines there. No,
Yeah.
But then they'll have to make like a decent game that Saturday night, a Peacock game.
Probably Bills somebody.
Bills Broncos.
Let's try it.
Ravens Steelers rematch. Peacock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm down for that. Dude, if the Ravens seriously drew Steelers, Bills, Chiefs on their way to in the playoff bracket, there's so many ways where the Ravens are fucked, and I mean I hope for their sake it's not Pittsburgh their first round. I don't think that Kansas City. I just don't see how Kansas City doesn't make it back to the AFC Championship game. I mean, if you look at what Mahomes has done since getting D-Hop, he's top 10 in every major statistical category. If we were to project this out over the course of the season, he's putting up similar numbers to his 2019 MVP or 2020 MVP. It was whatever his first one was. But I think if he stretched out his touchdown to interceptions, he's supposed to have like 47 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. If you were to prolong that the last 5 weeks over the course of 17 weeks. So I think he's back on track now. And they're going to be getting Rashee Rice back and Pacheco. And I think that Travis Kelce, I think that he does kind of what Gronk ended up doing there towards the end of his career where he looked, kind of like a mosh posh. And then you get to the playoffs and all of a sudden, Julian Edelman has talked about this before on his show where it's a lot harder when you're a little bit older to sit there and just get ready for the grind there of every game.
Yeah.
But if you tell me, hey, I got, 3-4 games max that I just have to give my all towards, that's a lot easier of a sell, especially when you already have rings, been super successful and whatnot too.
Yeah. Which is why I think Noah Gray has got 4 touchdowns in the past 2 games. I mean,
give him a break.
Yeah.
Now, Swift hasn't been there the past couple weeks either. I mean, you knew she wasn't going to go to Carolina. Or no, I think they were in Kansas City.
Did she go to Buffalo?
No, but there was rumors that she was going to because she had a concert. I hate that I know this, by the way, but she had a concert, I think, in like Toronto or like
I remember
somewhere there in Canada. So people thought that. Yeah.
Okay, I do remember hearing that.
I can't wait until Taylor Swift's tour isn't something that I have to end up looking at on a weekly basis. But, hey, man, that Eras tour is... I mean, it's going to last an entire era. Give me like a fucking 10-year tour before we're done with this shit. Gosh, take a break.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well,
it's helping the economy.
That's something helping it at the moment. That's something helping it. All right, guys. Hey, if you have not already, don't forget to subscribe down below. Ring the bell so you don't miss any sort of content. Head over to X. Follow us at JJ in the evening. Join the conversation over there. Who day? Let's trade Jamar. Let's trade Joe. Let's go.
All right.